Okay, so I think this we got one more call. Yeah, there's one more Wednesday. Next Wednesday is the last day of the month. So I cannot believe we're already stepping into April, finishing up Q1. So it's it's exciting, but it's nerve wracking all in the same. And that's kind of why I posted that post yesterday. I think they're all running together, just about like the big goals and the vision and coming out of such a powerful Team Cup month in February. This happens every year, every single time we do it. It's so easy to lose that steam and lose that momentum. So I'm just like desperate, craving ways to just keep the fun, keep the hype here within the team page because there's with 9 months left, like we have so much room to like grow and just compound and change more lives, including our own and our family. So I'm just so excited for those goals. And I hope y'all had a chance to just kind of look over that, depending on if you're a brand new coach, if you've been here for a few months, or you've been here for a couple of years, and just how your level of showing up and how it can contribute to the team as a whole as we just lean in and grow together. Um, a couple of other things, reminder that not this weekend, I don't know, what is the 10th? So maybe 2 weekends is the next super weekend. So block that off in your calendar. I'm really, really excited. They said there's going to be some big announcements coming. I know, obviously, I don't think they're going to talk too much about like with the was it MYX mixed bike and all that stuff's going we're going to hear more about that come May. But I do think that in a couple of weeks we're going to hear more about new products potentially. So y'all have to let me know. I think it would be really cool just to get some new flavors of some things, especially of the performance line. I don't know. We might get something totally new, but I'm excited. It's always like sitting on the edge of my seat, like waiting for what they're going to announce. Another thing that I'm really excited I want to share, and I would love you guys to speak back, kind of talking about how the momentum was so high last month with Team Cup and just knowing that it's that push by that smaller intimate team feel. But I'm excited to link up, Josh, my push coach, with other big teams that are pushing for big goals and just doing like a 30 worthy challenge. And what this is so for the whole month of April, we're pretty much going to use our trackers. I still am going to stick with the bat just because I like the numbers and I feel really good about the push level, but there is another one that I can share. It's a little bit more simplified if that's more your step. But again, it's not about being perfect. That's not realistic. I mean, there's many boxes I have not checked off today, and they probably won't get checked off, but it's okay because it's all about finding what works, still continuing to show up in some shape, form, or another. But I would love to know if that's something that y'all are interested in, and just kind of how that's going to work. As is really cool, something we've never done. But like you are responsible for sharing your tracker, kind of like what we're doing every single day. But when you commit and then you say you commit, but then you don't show up and commit and share that tracker, like there's a penalty where you got to pay $5 at the end of the week to your challenge. So it's like it's going to help you be like, okay, crap, I've got to not do that. But see, then if somebody else doesn't do it, like you earn the $5 back or you split it. I don't know. We haven't figured out all the details yet, but it's just that little bitty tiny extra layer of accountability to like make us show up towards our goals. So I'm really excited for that. And just having the opportunity to link arms with other teams and other coaches, it just allows so much more room for like growth. And it might be something we've heard 30 times, but we are hearing it in a whole different light. And it just like that light bulb moment, it just clicks and it goes off. So and then remember that we are in the midst of pushing for our retreat in September. I know it's still hard in Canada. I know US is kind of looking up with things opening up and everybody getting vaccinated. So they're not doing as many quarantines and yada yada. So I'm just clinging hold to my hope of what, just controlling the controllable and just we're gonna make it happen. So, and if you hit your goal, of course, you get your customized Nikes within that time frame that I posted on that. So I think that's it. If not, check your coach breaking news because I don't want to spend any more time on that. Okay, so tonight I just wanted to kind of lean in and talk a little bit more about this business and how, with everything in life, really, it comes in seasons, you guys. Um, so oftentimes the world we live in likes us to make us think it's this or that type thing. But it's not true. You can have your cake and eat it too if you want to, of course, in balance and moderation. So we have to get out of that mentality of or I'm not gonna be, or the and or the but. I didn't mean to say and, but the or the but, it's always like, oh, I really want to do that, but we have to have the and. So what if I've been here and had these mishaps and screwed up along the way, but it's okay. I'm taking this and I'm using this to my advantage to continue to learn and grow. So it's okay to mess up or do things and still continue to fight for where you're going in your big goals. So it's literally a simple mindset shift that we all need to remember, and stop thinking that, oh, because I missed the boat or something on something, well, it's not for me. I might as well just give up, throw my hands up. But that's where I was kind of talking about, this business is going to come in seasons, and some seasons you're going to need more hustle, and some seasons are going to need more rest. Um, I don't know what season you are in right now, and only you will know that. And that comes down to, there's things, ultimately we need to say yes to more things, but we also need to say no to more things. And this is kind of what I'm going to kind of lead into with this, and that's knowing what makes you you. Like, don't veer away from that. What are, those core five? It could be three, four, five things, but at least three. And like for me, it's my faith, my family, my fitness. And then I talk about freedom, the future. Like, that's my motivational, inspirational side of things, of just casting that vision for what's possible. So those are my four topics that I try to revolve like my story around. So when you're bringing in these new things that you're saying yes to, that doesn't mean the new things take like the podium seat. Like, they don't become the main thing. They're just another thing that you're incorporating as you continue to lean in and grow. But you have to keep the main thing, and that's those core five, or however many things that you have, 4 to 5 things. So I hope you guys know that. If not, I really want to challenge you, once you get off this call, in the next couple of days, to really know who you are, you know, as an overall person. And, feel free to share that, drop it in the chat if you do know that. I would love to hear those things. But if not, just write that down so that you are being intentional about that, so that in return, you're going to be intentional in sharing that on your social. So, for instance, in talking about including more things, right? And it's just like teaching our kids. For instance, like, one of my biggest goals is to instill like discipline, but then a positive mindset in them, and just learning kind of work ethic. So it's just like, I want them to stay active. I want them to do their schoolwork. They're going to do their chores. They're going to say their prayers at night. Like, all these things have to come first. And if you've done all these things, then great. You can play PlayStation. You can get on your iPad. But so oftentimes we get these so backwards. You guys, if we're not doing these important things first, these core values, then, well, let me say that this way. If you do those things first, then you can check out at any time and have some peace and still some confidence, and knowing like, okay, I did the main things today, and the rest can wait. It'll still be there tomorrow. But if we're just completely bypassing doing those main things and the most important task, then I can bet your bottom dollar you're probably going to be stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, overworked, because you feel like you're working so hard. You're doing all the things, but none of it is the main thing. So you're not growing. And then that's when you just want to throw your hands up and quit, because you just feel overworked, and you're not seeing that ROI, that return on investment from the hard work that you're putting in. So that's why I just want to kind of encourage you to have some control of your time, and knowing what those main things are, knowing what your core values are, leading with that, and then being okay to enjoy yourself for whatever, or heck, it might not be enjoying something. Life happens. Life is crazy. Expect the unexpected, right? But when we own our day from the get-go, it's going to give you so much more peace. I've learned this the hard way, time and time again. Um, so what if we just say yes to more things? Saying yes in more areas, saying nutrition. You guys, this has been so huge for me the past 2 weeks. I had gotten, I would just say, like, I was probably drinking a glass of wine every single night. That was just like my de-stressor. And like, after a few weeks of doing this, my body felt it. I was loose, I was sluggish, and I was just like, okay, I got to find a better way. And that's why I took the big, scary leap of doing the ultimate reset. I've wanted to do it for 6.5 years. I'm not telling y'all have to do this, but like, it's the best I felt in the longest time. Like, I was so nervous. Day one was hard with the caffeine headaches, but I'm like, just making little tweaks. It could be, like I said, the alcohol. It could be soda. It could be your thing. Just not drinking enough water. Just not eating your greens. Simple little tweaks that we can say yes to regain control of that nutrition? Our workouts, are we really pushing our hardest? Are we lifting as heavy as we can? Are we trying to get in as many reps as possible? With more consistent with our personal growth? Are you just doing it when it's convenient for you? Or is it actually a staple within your daily routine? Because there's a big, big difference. Like if I don't start my morning with my devotional, like it ain't good for nobody. Like I can just feel it, and no telling. And then if you just jump to social media and you open up emails and messages and you don't know what you're going to expose yourself to. And if you haven't safeguarded your heart in advance, like it's going to affect you. Like I know a lot of you are probably like me, you probably wear your heart on your sleeve and then you take all that stuff so personal. But when you make your personal development a priority every single day, like that's when the game kind of changes a little bit. And so as a result of saying yes to these areas, that's when you're going to find that little thing called harmony that we talk about, a good bit these days. That's when that's created. So questions, a few questions that you can write down that I kind of just want you to think about. What is your goal in this season? Like, do you have a steady routine? Are you in a rebuild season, whatever that looks like? Maybe you're brand new to coaching and you're just getting started. Like, what does that look like? What do you want that to look like? What do you want that to look like in your first couple of days, weeks, months? And breaking that down into those bite-sized chunks. Because yes, it's great to have yearly goals, but you have to have those smaller goals as well to set those milestones along the way. But, and again, this is going to look different for every single one of us. So, this is when we got to put those blinders on, stay in our own lane and know like, okay, I'm doing this for me because it's different for every single one of us. And maybe your kids, maybe they're back in school. So then you have an hour or two or however much time to focus on you and growing your business. Or maybe they're not. Maybe it's spring break like it was for us last week and you want to pull your hair out and you don't have the extra time that week, whatever that looks like, and maybe you're just in a season of just you're moving or you're just wearing all the many hats on top of your normal load and you're just got to do enough to get you through to keep that needle moving forward. So this is when we have to be so super intentional about our time. You guys, again, it's no surprise to any of us. We all have the exact same 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. Like nobody has extra, nobody has less. So honestly, I will embrace this objection, like, because I get it all the time. And I'm like, busy? I'm pretty much single mominate of 4. And yeah, we have soccer pretty much every single day, but I got you. Okay. But it's all in how you come back at that. Because if we don't like take control of our time, I will promise you it will take control of you. And that's again just another thing that's going to lead to the stress and the overwhelm. One of my new people was talking about she's wanting a new goal to get up at 5:30 in the morning, and she hasn't been doing it. She's been sleeping until 7:15, and guess how she feels when she does? Stressed, overwhelmed. And I'm like, okay, tell me this. Is that 1 to 1.5 extra hours of sleep, is it worth that feeling of feeling stressed and just rush all morning? Or do you want to push through that hard, which is typically last, 5, 10, 15 minutes at most? If you chug your Energize, it don't even last that long. And then it's just like, okay, and you push through a 30-minute exercise, don't even have to be that long. And then you're going to feel so much better for it. And those of us who have been here, we know that. And that's the thing, once we push through that hard and we get to that feeling after, that's what's going to keep us going. So ask yourself, where are you falling short? Or just simply ask, where do you need to focus that little bit of extra time that you do have into your business in order to keep that needle moving forward? Is it, I can almost bet money and guarantee you that it's that you need to spend more time in your inbox. I've talked to so many people and talking about crafting your story and this, and like we can spend so much time on making a post or scheduling stuff for our groups or whatever. And those are all great things and ways for us to show up. But ultimately, if we're not building those one-on-one connections, like that's going to make us grow the most. That's how we connect with others. That's how we can best help them. And that's really, such a blessing that we often take for granted in this business because of our own limiting beliefs, fears, and mindset. But it could be to where you're at a point where you are busier. And I know this isn't much for newer coaches, but like for me, I went so long. I had VAs, which is virtual assistants, long times ago, and it was just a few rotten eggs along the way. It's a lot of trial and error with everything in this business and life in general, right? But like having her like do some behind the scenes works for me has been so good for my sanity, and know that it's giving myself permission to unplug, because many of you know that's a struggle for me because I love to work, and this business sets my soul on fire. So just something like that, knowing what it is. I'm not saying you have to go hire a VA if you're not in that place of your life, but just knowing what it is that's going to help you grow the most in those little power pockets of time that you have. Because when you do that, that's where you're going to insert that harmony piece that we talked about. And when we say this harmony, this is simply replacing what some people like to call balance, because we say, like, in your nutrition and stuff, yeah, everything's balanced. But let's be real, there's never like an equilibrium. There's never a balance. You're like every single day, you're just constantly like this. So harmony is that emotion where you can just be at peace and find fulfillment and joy amongst the chaos and all the up and the down. But you have to give your permission to show up and know that you're capable of anything that you set your heart and your mind to. Like, I hope you genuinely, truly know deep down within your gut, within your soul, like you can conquer the dang world, and that is up to you on where your heart and where your mindset is and how you want to go about that. Because I believe in you and I hope you know that, but ultimately it comes down to you knowing that you are capable of that. Do you want to excel in your marriage and all of your relationships? Do you want to excel as a parent? Do you want to excel in your finances in every single area of your life? Like, you have control over that. And what a beauty it is that the position that we're in as coaches, we're leading with something that is better taking care of us. And I was just talking to somebody in my inbox today that I got an objection from, talking about, oh, taking care of all I think she had parents who were elderly and sick. Um, but the thing is, we all are trying to help take care of, whether it's kids or parents. But like the saying always said, like we always say, our family and friends and those we love, they don't deserve the rest of us. They deserve the best of us. And I know that when I'm taking care of me, like this week, when I'm feeling good, I have energy, I'm more confident. So guess what? When mama's feeling good, everybody else is going to get a bit like I'm having better energy. I'm more, it just was, oh my gosh, my son just schooled me in basketball before I got on this call. But it was fun because I got to get out there and play, and just knowing that it has to start with us, because if we're tired and we're burning that candle at both ends, like guess how you're going to be towards your kids and to your spouse? You're going to be irritable, you're going to be snippy. I mean, maybe that's just me, but when I'm feeling good, like everything else around me like grows and compounds for that. And people can feel your energy when you're talking, when you're showing up, when you're posting, when you're making these stories. So it all comes down to us and remembering those core values. So we're in talking about sharing this. I'm going to switch gears just a tad, and this is where I just want to talk about recruiting based on those values. And for our new coaches here on the call, recruiting is talking about building your team, starting to add your own coaches to your downline. We're a team, we just go up and down and all around. But a blessing is when you can start earning all the benefits and the earning potential from doing that. So oftentimes, like, I would again bet money that you're making harder on yourself than it has to be. And Lord knows I've been there. So I'm kind of like talking to myself here, because we make it recruiting, inviting, all those things like some big scary bear. And here's the thing, because we turn so often to the easier things, in talking about the fitness and the nutrition. Not saying those are easy, but they're easier than talking about inviting to the business, for most of us. But this was something I heard recently, and it just really hit me. So when you call out to the leaders, aka go-getters, risk takers, people that are just willing to show up and put in the work, like the followers are still going to come, right? But when you call out to the followers, the leaders don't even notice. So I was just like, oh, That is so good, and I knew I had to share it because so no matter what you say, what you're promoting, like your followers are still going to show up. They're still going to be there. I mean, if they're not your tribe, then they might be like deuces and unfollow you or block you or whatever. But for the most part, those people are still going to continue to follow you because they like what it is you're doing or who you are as a person. But who are the leaders that you want to attract? You can change that for anything. Just the people in general. Who do you want to attract when you are showing up in your feed? What are the words, the posts, the stories that you need to be making and sharing in order to best get their attention? Motivated people, let me say this a little louder, or just so that we all know that the motivated people are not the ones that are constantly showing up in your feed because they don't have time for that. They're the ones out there going and doing the work. And so we have to make sure that we are so intentional with how we're putting ourselves out there so that we do catch on to that. Because here's the thing, what's the problem that we want to solve? Where are you now from where you started? Is it, it could be from your health. It could be like for me, I was on multiple medications for, the anxiety and the depression. It could be as simple as, heck, I was even on multiple medications for my face, just being so broken out from not taking care of my body. It could be, from the finances, people living that paycheck to paycheck that we've talked about, 76% of the population. It could be just that time freedom that everybody craves that they just don't get. Our Me and my mom were talking about this earlier today because I was like, shoot me, because the school called and they're like canceled school tomorrow because they're supposed to get more bad weather here. And she's like, I know, but you get to be home with the kids. And I'm like, I know my sanity knows one thing, but my gratitude is on the other level, just knowing that I don't have that added stressor to be like, oh my gosh, I've got to find some childcare for my kids last minute. Like I can be here with them. And so knowing what's that problem that you want to solve, who is the person that I want to be speaking to? And it has to go so much deeper than just the superficial stuff like what do they wear, what do they look like. I mean, yeah, that could be some people's brand if you like a certain, but what are their core values and their character traits? It has to go so much deeper than just the superficial level. um, and this was something I wanted to share, but like this is how you connect in sharing your story. So this is a piece of mine, but you make it your own in that outreach, because people don't buy products, they buy you. Like they buy the emotion, they buy the relationship. So how are you relating to them? And besides just showing up like, here's my sweaty selfie or my Shakeology selfie, like, whatever. Like that's why don't even make it about the program or the product. Like make it about how you feel, what you've learned, what you've overcome. That's really one big thing that everybody wants to know, because everybody has struggles. What are you going through right now in your struggles? Because you're still going to have some of some shape, form, or another. Like people like to know the real, the raw. What are you going through, and how are you pushing through that? Um, and so this is like I spent years as a nurse, right? That I'm that type of person who shows up and I'm determined to work harder than anybody in the room. Like that's just my work ethic. Like I may not have a clue what's going on, and I may look stupid doing it, but I won't quit. Like my dad taught me that at a young age, hence why like it's so hard for me to clock out some days just because I love it. But I knew when I first started this, like if I can make money without any cap, without any limitations, then dang right, let's freaking go. That's why I jumped in 2 feet forward when I became a coach. Most coaches do not, they focus on their own health and wellness for a while. But I knew that mentality, like this is a continuous journey for my health and fitness. And the more that the quicker I can show up and have that layer of accountability to myself and potentially earn some additional income for my family, which we so desperately needed when I first started. Like I knew like if I can just impact one person and help my family in return, like it's a win-win. So yeah, when I heard about the opportunity and the fact that there was no cap on how much you can earn, that's when I jumped both feet in, to finally be recognized and rewarded with no lids. You guys, as a nurse, there was so many of us, like there was no little touches. It was no little things that made you feel special, right? If anything, I had to deal with, you know, families who were in the midst of a hard time that usually lashed out because they were so stressed from this situation. While I'm grateful to be able to care for their loved ones in such a hard season, like it take you, you know, you get some flashback from that. But so in saying that, like when I show up, I ultimately want to attract people who want to work hard, who want to do the things in order to grow and experience ultimate success without those limiting beliefs and those lids that whatever they may be currently dealing with in their current profession or life circumstances. Um, so when we call out to those positive and motivated people, like usually everybody thinks they're that person. They want to. Even the lazy and unmotivated, you know, everybody wants to see their self in that light. But when you're calling out to that higher level leader, like you're still going to get those followers, and you're also probably going to encourage them to even level up a little bit more. But in addition to those followers that you're going to get no matter what, you're going to actually attract and bring in those leaders because you're speaking at a higher level. So, and that's the thing, we're setting that higher standard, and we're showing them, like so often as coaches we can get frustrated if we bring people in and then they don't show the work or they don't do the work. But did you put that out there to begin with? Did you share that you're what you're doing behind the scenes, how you're hustling, and then you're expecting them to show up but they had no clue? So it's just like you know, you were one thing on social and then one thing behind the scenes, and it just didn't match up. And so, in asking yourself another question, like, what do you want your ideal team to look at like in 5 years from now? Hey, you can say 3 years, 1 year, whatever. When you're looking forward down the road, like, what are those specific words, those specific traits that you want every single person on your team to have in common? And, you know, and I would love for you guys to share these things as they arise. Uh, just a few of mine, a lot of mine that I wrote down just to trigger some ideas. Loyal, hardworking, passionate, self-motivated, driven, big picture thinkers, doers, hustlers, no excuses, confident, willing, compassionate, energetic, independent but a team player, hungry to learn, hungry to grow, hustlers. Like that's just like all the think about those things, that energy that you want to feel when you're with those people, because you do. You become like the people you surround yourself with. So, and that can be hard in a lot of situations. It could even be your family that's bringing you down in some sense. But that is when it's up to us to be so intentional about leaning into those people who really do bring out the best in us and push us and make us uncomfortable in order to experience that ultimate growth. Because again, if you're talking to everyone from that non-hard working perspective, like we can't get upset when they do join us and then they don't show up. They're not getting results in their own health and fitness journey. They're not getting results in growing the business, whatever that looks like. But because we're not putting that energy out there, so we just have to make that shift. Um, and let them know, like for me, and I say this all the time, like it's easier to say when I come out of those hard seasons, of course, but like the harder the fight, the sweeter the victory. That's always been like my philosophy, that I say it all the time. You know, it took us, you know, 7, 8 years to have kids, but when we did, you know, God showed up and showed out for us. You know, it's taken us forever to grow this business. I see and hear coaches within 1 year, and they're like top elite teams making filthy kind of money. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's so stupid. But I just like, I don't allow that to like be like, oh, well, I just don't have my crap together, or oh, it's just not meant to be. I'm like, dang it, it might take me 10 years, but I will get there. Like, because I won't give up, because I am that hardest worker in the room. And that's what my husband tells me all the time. He said, if it would have been that, like, you'd have been a millionaire forever ago, right? Because I do. I show up and I put in the work, but like, I love it and I'm going to do it regardless. And I'm going to prove a point because I'm stubborn and hard headed. Um, so as we have a few more minutes, just a couple ideas, as like in your stories and stuff. And again, just remembering you guys, like so many people are lacking purpose. They're lacking joy in their current life. I did, and I actually talked to Amanda about this week. I could probably count on one hand, and 6.5 years that I've been a coach that somebody's just been like rude or ugly in my inbox after reaching out to them. And girl, and she was pregnant. So I'm like, maybe it's the hormones or something. I don't know. But like, I just like telling me, this is how you do business. And I was like, okay, okay. But my response, like, I killed her with kindness. I blessed and released, but like, you're not going to like, like, so never let somebody steal your thunder. And just because that may happen once in a blue moon, like, you keep going, you keep doing you. But I say all that to say, like, I just felt bad for her. Like, I really did, because I consider myself a pretty positive, optimistic person, like a hope dealer, right? And I'm just like, man, she just seems so not happy in her response. And it just like broke my heart for her. So it's up to us to know that we have to be that light to show people like there is a better way. Um, Okay, so to the story ideas, talking about life experiences that made me feel this way, and just talking about what I've overcome. When I first started, talking about my nursing experiences, I kind of felt unappreciated, felt underpaid for the schooling and then all the responsibility that I had and the long hours. Heck, I actually didn't even get a raise for years. And then when I did, it was like a slap in the face for 18 cents an hour. I'm like, that's like $24 or something in a year. I don't know. It was crazy. My math's probably off, but it was 18 cents, whatever that is. And then a year rolled, and then every year, Nurses Day is like in May, and we would get like a little cup or something. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, it was just like we did not feel I didn't feel appreciated for the hard work that I was putting in and day out. And so I don't know, that could maybe trigger something for you, or you may currently love your current profession, your full-time job, and it can be something totally different. Yours could be more health and fitness. It could be the freedom, with time. Like for me, I missed out on so much even before the kids with Jordan and just holidays and being required to work those as a nurse and still not making any extra money for it. No time and a half, nothing like that. And like that just sucked working every other weekend. So it could be that time. It could just be, the lack of your purpose, your mindset, and knowing that it was stressing you to the max every single day, putting yourself in that situation. I made a post today talking about just being inside, and we had a beautiful day unexpectedly. Not everybody gets to just walk outside. I should share a post that was in with you guys. It was so good from a girl in one of our leader pods the other day, just talking about she worked in a tiny little dark cubicle. She actually had even no windows for the longest time, and just how it drained her so much emotionally, and just like how now she literally gets to sit outside. I think she says she sent a picture of like she sits out. Maybe she's in Florida or something. It just looks out at the water and the beautiful sunshine. It's just like amazing how just like that little tweak that seems so insignificant can literally be life changing. So we talked about a compliment sandwich. Um, and this is to where I never want to like downgrade nurses or anything like that, because that would never be my point. But like what I say, what I loved about nursing or whatever your current job was, um, like I love that I was able to help people who were hurting in such a time of need and care for them. But here's what didn't work out for me. And it cost me so much time away from my family. I missed out on that special time. So like within my new career, it's such a blessing to know that I'm not just limited to one area, of helping a couple of patients, but I literally have a platform where I can bless multiple families, multiple women, including their families, to help them keep them out of the hospital and rebound from illnesses and stuff that much faster by taking care of themselves and positively just impacting them like worldwide compared to just being so limited while not having to sacrifice that time and energy away from my family. Um, and so that's just a way to think about putting that emotion behind it, you guys. That is the key. But the stories have the ability to make someone feel like they're completely unrelatable and turning them to be a completely normal human being. Like that's why people love the real. They love the hot mess express. They love the unpolished, because if you're just showing up all the time like you're just perfect and every single day your meals are perfect, you never miss a workout, you're dolled up and dressed to a T every single day, then they're like, I just can't even relate to her. So it's just being real that you're going to form those meaningful relationships over time. So and just tell your story over and over and over again. Like, don't stop because you never know when that one time that somebody new can see it, but it might take somebody hearing it 5 times before they're like, okay, or you said it in just a different way, or heck, they may be in a different season of their life so where it's more receptive to them. But they say 90% of your followers are actually new, 10 of them are your lifers. Those are the people that are always going to be there to support you, but there's constantly new people coming in. And always having the same before photo per se, but like your after photo is constantly changing. It's constantly evolving. You're constantly growing. And like that's the journey. That's the progress that they're continuing to see, you know, along the way. It's not waiting to with its health and fitness to get to your goal weight because if you stop there, well, then you're just going to like you're going to be changing no matter what. So if you're not constantly pushing yourself for bigger and better things, well, then you're probably going to start taking a couple of steps back. The same thing in your business. If you hit a couple of milestones, well, then what? You've got to keep pushing. There is always room for more and more growth for every single one of us in every single area of our life. Um, so, and when you're just, and when you share that you realize that you thrive on being part of this team and just being surrounded by other women who uplift and encourage you. Like I talk to women all the time that are like, oh, I'm doing my own thing. And I'm like, well, that kind of sucks. That's boring. You don't have to say it like that, but like they're missing out on so much. It really is so much more fun together, to know that you can still show up, share like, oh my gosh, I screwed up, and not feel judged or ridiculed, but like instead, the flip side, be encouraged to jump back on the wagon and be like, okay, we'll get through this, and possibly even hear some tips and tricks of how other people, when they fell off, how they got through that hard season. So it's just so much to be said about being stronger together and having that community, that tribe, that sisterhood, whatever it is, so that we can support each other every single step of the way. So, just telling people stop trying to do it alone. Like, find your community, lean into them, because every single person needs community. They need accountability, we need leadership, we need mentorship, in all different areas of our life. So, we literally do, you guys. We have the ultimate gift of life, and I full heartedly believe that from the inside out. We're focusing on our overall health and well being from our head to our toes, with our head being such a huge, huge part. And then just being able to lean in and grow together and share that with others. Like, I know, like, I could just go on and on about how this opportunity has changed my life and my family's life. And I want to share that with everybody else. So why would we ever hold someone else's destiny on our tongue? Because our own fears or all, that people are going to judge, are going to really ridicule it. I've said this before. And like, if you don't have haters, you guys, ultimately, you're not growing. So be true to you. Be proud of who you are. Shout that from the rooftops. Take a deep breath and just put yourself out there. Be willing to fail forward and just know you are worth amazing, amazing things. So that's all I got tonight. We're actually about to get cut off. So thank y'all for jumping